Just wanna, it looks like your stream was deleted from Facebook. Try creating a new one. Oh no. Okay, you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, good. All right, we are live. We are live. Come on in, come on in. We are live. Just want to make sure my light is on. Come on in. When you come in, please share, please like, please tag someone uh, who you know needs to hear this amazing story. Come on in. I just want to say welcome to tonight's conversation. My name is Shelia Bruno. I am founder of Wife After Prison. Again, share, tag, and like because this is a conversation for everybody. I'm super, super excited about my guest tonight, Mr. Jaron Neighbors. We're going to get into his story. Jaron did 16 years in prison. And we're going to be talking about post-incarceration syndrome. We're going to be talking about the psychological, the emotional, the relational, the behavior that so many experience when they come out of prison. And I need to see here because it's saying my Facebook is not on. So uh, let me go on to my Facebook right quick and make sure that I am on Facebook because it's saying that it's not connected.
Hold on, somebody calling me about, I believe. Hello? No, we on now.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to come on. I gotta get back. I gotta get back on Facebook. It's saying I'm not connected to Facebook. I'm connected on LinkedIn and YouTube. So let me see what I need to do to get connected to Facebook. So I had to remove it and then come back on it. Okay. I am now getting connected to Facebook. Cut this light on and see if that's a little better. Okay, great, 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 great. Guys, come on in, come on in. I'm now connected on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And like I was saying, we're going to have this conversation, man. This is such a much needed conversation. Men and women are coming home from prison and they're coming home with symptoms that nobody is talking about. And something that I'm very passionate about. For those who have been following me for a while, you know what it is. It's post-incarceration syndrome. And I'm joined by someone who has lived it and without even knowing that there was a name to it. So I'm super excited about that. Again, Jaron did 16 years in prison. He didn't go looking for answers, right? He wasn't trying to find a diagnosis, but one day he saw one of my videos and it piqued his interest. And, he said, that's me. So tonight we're going to be talking about his story. So Jaron, I want to say thank you so much for your willingness and to be transparent, to be open enough to talk about this. I said to Pam, Miss Ford, I said, he reminds me a lot of Kevin, because when Kevin gained the knowledge of what post-incarceration syndrome is, he was working as a reentry specialist in the pre-release unit where he was in. And so he would go back in and he would tell the guys, man, when you get out of here, go get you some help. And a lot of them was just like, oh, Bruno, that's just you. That's just you. And some of them are now back inside because they did not heed the warning. And so tonight we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking about what it means to come home after so many years and to think that you're normal. And to think that you're fine. Today I had the pleasure of doing a workshop at Lee Adjustment Correctional Facility in Kentucky. And I tell you, we have to keep talking about this, right? When I sit and I do these workshops and I see these individuals who whose lives will be impacted by incarceration and they have no clue,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have no clue what awaits them when they come home. They think that freedom means free. But after they've done that first sentence, that physical sentence, there is a second sentence. So without further ado, Jaron, once again, thank you so much. I appreciate your courage. I appreciate your honesty and your willingness to share. So I do have tons of questions here. I know I won't get to all of them, but let's start from the beginning.
I want to say something real quick too, Sheila.
Okay.
And
Okay.
first off, I want to thank you for bringing much needed light and attention to this. They try to diagnose it as, like when you come home from the war, PTSD,
PTSD.
but it's not. And also, when when you touched on, it didn't just pique my interest; it hit home, Sheila. I mean, everything that you described, it resonated to a T on what I was going through, and I
Wow.
wasn't able to describe these things because, like you said, it became my new normal.
Right.
So it didn't just pique my interest. I'm telling you, it hit home immediately. The first time hearing you was all the things that I've been experiencing. And I still go through these things, Sheila. It's not
Right.
like, they've magically disappeared. It's not like that. But I just wanted to thank you for that. And like I say, it hit home, everything that you said.
So I understand that it was a video that you saw.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just trying to say, what video was that?
I had a buddy of mine. I done some time with in Beaumont, Texas. Buddy of mine, GB. He out of Killeen, and he shared your video with me. And it was the one when you was talking about, you come home and about the hypervigilance and all those different things there. That's the first video I saw. Was
Okay.
that one there? And
Okay.
and like I say, just hearing that, Sheila, I'm talking immediately. I mean, seriously, I'm talking about I was overcome with emotion with hearing it. Honestly,
Wow.
because like I say, I hadn't been able to describe these things I was going through because it was my normal. You get what I'm
Wow.
saying? I didn't know it was a diagnosis for it. I just thought that's who I was now,
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you didn't talk to nobody about it. You was just
me and GB, we would talk, and I realized now it was trauma bond, and me and him would talk about different things but all we would do was just confirm each other, different things we were going through, but it was just trauma bond, and I realized that now me and him would talk, but no, I didn't tell nobody about it because, like I said, it was my normal, Sheila. It was my
wow.
normal.
Wow. 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 So did your family know anything about it?
They
Anything?
noticed behaviors, they would point things out to me, like like they would say, you act like you're a warden or something with how I like things structured because you come home, you regimented, Sheila, and so they would point those things out, and then as time went further along, even like my first time working things at nature, I remember I was working at a warehouse, and the guy told me, he said, "Man, you no longer in jail." I believe he was a lead or something. I went off on another worker, and and the things I said, so he's like, "Man, you ain't in jail no more." The guy told me,
Wow.
but my mentality when somebody said something to me, it took me right back to thinking the police was talking to me. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It
Yeah.
immediately triggered me to think that you acting like the police. So you go through these different things, like you say, there's signs and things that nature that's there, but you're not cognizant of them because they're your normal, Sheila. You get what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and what you're saying, and so it's I hear so many family members saying the same thing, about the behaviors. And
Mhm.
so that's why I say, this is not an isolated incident. And I do apologize for my light, guy. It is going in and out here. But I hear a lot of family members talk about their loved ones who have come home. It's the same behavior, right? Same behavior, different zip code. And what's the common denominator? They've all been to prison. One of the things that I said to the guys today, and I was talking about survival mode, because when you're you're in survival mode, right? And then when you come home, and we were talking about healing. So one of the things that I said to them, hey, look, you got to stop and really think about this. And when you get ready to react, is this the survival mode man, or is this the man who's on his healing journey? So I want to thank you for that. So, um,
And you know, it's hard when you're not cognizant of that, Sheila,
yeah,
to know about healing and being open to those things. You know, because it's also, you know, depending on what generation you come from, the different stigmas that's attached with therapy. And like you talked about, you're in survival mode. So when you come home, you're not trusting the people, Sheila. You know what I'm saying? But just laying things out to people. I mean, even like, you know, it's been a couple times, like relationship wise, I've tried to have a couple relationships since I've been home, and you know, I've shared some things and different things that nature, and then I get accused of using it as an excuse. But these are real factual things I'm going
yeah,
through. So you
yeah,
become reticent when you're lay something out to someone and open to someone because you're so hesitant about opening up. Then when you finally
right,
do it, someone accuses you of that. And I heard you talk about it. You know, when you talked about with Kevin, you say, man, Jaron, I could have swore it was another woman the way he was acting, but that
yeah,
wasn't even the case. So, you know, that'll make you go back in your shell more because you're hesitant about opening up to someone. And then when you do, and they don't embrace what you're saying, so you say, you know what, you back up off of, then you continue to just suppress these things and
yeah,
continue to navigate the terrain. But like you said, all these things are just building up in, you know, like your presentation you done with all the apples in the bag. So you're
right,
walking around with all this baggage and luggage, Sheila, on a day-to-day basis. You know what I'm saying? On a day-to-day basis, you're walking around suppressing these things, and you're just navigating, you know, through the day, and people from the outside see you navigating, so they thinking, I get all the time, I get compliments on the things that people have seen me do since I came home, Sheila, but not knowing on what's going on inside. They're looking on the outside, you know, because
right,
I know how to navigate through the day because, like you said, we've done this in prison. It's survival mode, you know.
right,
But you know, it's in those moments where, like I say, I'm regimented. I get a 415 every day, Sheila. You know, it's those things you're regimented on. You know, you know, even like, you know, the relationships I've been in. You know, I've been told that I feel like I'm here by myself. And I'm not even cognizant that that's the case, Sheila. I just come in from work, working all day, and go off to the room and be to myself. But guess what? In prison, you in them cells, you to yourself. You get what I'm saying? So these behaviors continue to follow you, like you say, it's that second sentence afterwards. And you're
right,
not even cognizant that you're doing this, Sheila. And
yeah,
you know, and I want to apologize to, you know, the couple women I've been in a relationship with, because you know, that may you've went through it. That makes a person feel less than. It makes them question themselves, those things, that nature there. You know what I'm saying? And I
yeah,
truly want it because it was out of my control. See, it wasn't anything I'd done intentional. It's just
yeah,
dealing with this and navigating the terrain and going through this. It's a process, you
yeah,
know. And you know, I'm up to seeking out help now. That's a person, you know, that I do talk to. That's a therapist. You know what I'm saying? So I'm open to that now, and I'm seeking out some help in that regard. You know, but it's a process, Sheila. You know, because like I
wow,
said, you're not trusting. You know what I'm saying? To engage and talk with people. You know, like I told you, it was therapeutic, Sheila. When I found you on this platform and you hit on everything I was going through, it was like, man, this woman know what I'm going through. So it's therapeutic in talking to you and getting it out because you can identify with it, and I can dialogue with you back and forth because you know,
yeah,
these are genuine things as opposed to a person thinking made an excuse. And I get it because emotions and feelings are involved. So you went through it, you know, like you told me with the situation with Kevin. You know, when
wow,
those emotions and feelings are there, then you know it can create a toxic environment on top of what the person is doing is going through the PICS. You get what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
yeah.
so many dynamics that factor into it, Sheila. That's why, like I say, I laud you and applaud you for bringing light to this. And this is going to continue to grow and evolve, believe me, because this is a real diagnosis. Post-incarceration syndrome is real.
Right, right,
Real.
right. And that's why it's so important that we continue to have these conversations. And as it relates to relationships, a lot of women don't understand. They don't understand, right? They look at, and this is not knocking them, but it's just a lack of understanding. So they look at what I've done. I've been there for him. I rode with him. I did this, and now he comes home and he's not the same person. Let me tell you something. We have to start looking at this through a different lens. And like they said, I would get questions like, how did I forgive Kevin? When I gained an understanding, when I gained an understanding of trauma, when I gained an understanding of post-incarceration syndrome, it was easy for me to forgive Kevin because Kevin was dealing with something that he didn't have knowledge of. So, and guys would tell me, I say, look, when you get out, don't think about no relationship. Don't try to get into no relationship because as I shared today, that a lot of the problems or in reentry in relationships are due to PICS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And sometimes women, we don't want to hear that. We look at the fact that I rode with you for 10 years, right? So thank you
But
so much.
let me share this with you, see, not to cut you off.
Okay.
If a person hasn't been through it, it's hard for people to identify what it appears, whether man or woman. You know, I'm talking in the working field, the working environment, and all that, Sheila. If a person hasn't been through that and lived that, people don't understand what it takes to survive and navigate that terrain of being in prison.
Yeah.
You see people head seven, you see people through over 10 feet gallery, Sheila. I've seen people running through the galleries on fire. I mean, literally set on fire. Now, what would you do if you saw somebody running around on fire, Sheila? Honest, what would you do? What would you do?
Wow.
If you saw somebody on fire right now, what would you do, Sheila?
And then you can't process all
But
of
I'm
that.
asking you, what would you do, Sheila, if you saw?
Man, look here. I would probably just trip out, right? But the thing about it is you can't process that. There's no outlet. Like Kevin said, he's standing on the second tier, and then he saw somebody jump from the third tier to the floor, head broke up, open, brain scattered, right? And
This
you
becomes
and
a normal,
all you
Sheila,
get to
and
do
you
is
just
go
walk
to
over these
lockup.
people and step over them like it's nothing. And this real, this may sound inhumane to people, right? When things like this happen, you may see somebody get stabbed up 100 times, right, Sheila? You know what your instinct tell you to do? Man, I better hurry up and go get in the shower because we finna be on lockdown for 6 months. Or you know what? If I'm cooking some food, let me finish hurry up and cooking my food. Or let me finish hurry up and go get this last phone call and we're gonna be on lock. It's not to get nobody no help if it ain't got nothing to do with you. If it's not none of your guys, you're gonna walk right over these people, Sheila. So imagine now you telling me after going through this for decades, and now you telling me just go out here and be okay. Just go out here and function and be okay now because you're free. It's not that simple. That's the biggest misnomer it is about with people because they don't know the things that you're subjected to in there, Sheila. Even times I've been in a SHU, which is a special housing unit. I've spent over a year in special housing unit before where you just to yourself. You get what I'm saying? And they just telling you now to just go out there and be in society and be able to be self-sufficient. It's not that simple, Sheila. It's so many barriers and obstacles that you're going to encounter.
Man, I mean, this is it. Look, this is why we have to keep having these conversations. And like I said, more organizations and institutions are now open to the conversation because going into prison talking about PICS, I used to have to go in through the back door. They think I'm going in there through talking about a resume, and then I ended up talking about PICS. So this is why it's so important, and it's just my desire that more people who are in the reentry space, you have these reentry programs. Look, stop talking so much about employment in the beginning and start talking about mental health. And this is why I applaud Pam Ford of New Day Employment Network, Inc. She's a trailblazer, right? Because she saw the value in what Jaron told her. And so they invited me to speak at her very first conference, right? So we have to start talking about this. And I'm going to say this, family members, come out that closet. Come out the closet, man. I have a private group, private Facebook group for women only, over 1,500 women in that group, right? I shut it down. I just shut it down, man, because I was the only one talking. There was no interaction there. And I'm going to tell you something. It's a whole lot of people like, not my man. They're part of that not my man club. You can't love them enough. You cannot love them through all of this trauma that they've been through, that they've never dealt with. They don't even know it exists. And that's why it's so important for me to keep having these conversations and keep talking to individuals.
Here's the thing with this here too, Sheila, right? Imagine now a person went to prison for doing something, right? It might have been selling, whatever the case may be. So that was trauma they was living. Then they end up going to prison, trauma on top of trauma. You get what I'm saying? So these things, all that does is exacerbate it that much more. And I want to thank Pam for bringing light to this situation, and taking on this cause, and giving me the opportunity, because a lot of, situations like this and jobs like this is frowned upon, Sheila. You know what I'm saying? But she took a chance on this. And I can remember, because, she would see, some of the signs there, the isolation things. I would work with things that nature there. And I remember we went to a reentry conference earlier this year, right? And she got to hear formerly incarcerated individuals that was on the panel, right? and she heard some of the things that she was witnessing with me. And that's when the light went on with her, like, wow, okay, this is really real. What's going on? You get what I'm saying? It
Wow.
registered with her then.
Wow, wow, wow. Yeah. So I take my hat off to Pam. You guys follow her, Pam Ford. I know that she is on Facebook, and you follow her. She's doing some amazing things. So Jaron, let me tell you something. So you shared something with me about, being with a cellmate, and you don't even talk to him, y'all just in passing. So it's like you really by yourself. So tell us about, you being in a cell with somebody. Y'all ain't really having no conversation. Y'all just occupying the same space. So you're really not having this conversation, this meaningful conversation with people for years.
See,
So
it may go like this here, right, Sheila? You have a person, you allow them to come in and bunk with you, different things that factor into that. You're not going to let no one that done any crimes, women or children, or anybody that's been a part of or cooperated with law enforcement. So as long as they pass those things, you allow them to come to cell with you, right? But you got to remember, right, we may be on a lockdown, Sheila, for 6 months in. So in 6 months, you're not going to be waking up talking to this person every day. You're already upset. You get on lockdown and you isolated things that nature there. So long as the respect factor there amongst you two, y'all don't say nothing to each other, and it's just common, and y'all move on with your day. It's simple as that.
wow.
So these are some of the things that go on. So those isolation things, Sheila, it's nothing to you. Like I said, when I come in, been out at work all day, and I just go and isolate in the room, and I'm to myself, I don't look at it as nothing, but it is something to someone that you call your significant other, because they wonder, man, he ain't said a word to me.
Yeah. And
But
so
you don't view it that way. Because you've lived that way for so long, the past decade plus, you've lived that way, Sheila. You get what I'm saying? So, when these things, and I think back to what you said on how things, went with you and Kevin and then how things just changed and took a turn for left. It wasn't no communication, just all these different things. So you saw these things.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Sheila, when you're not communicating this to people, because I don't sit there and tell people everything I saw and experienced in prison, Sheila, because it's a litany of things. You get what I'm saying? So I don't even share those things with people because I know some of the things are so abhorrent that I've seen and been through. You get what I'm saying? I don't even share that with people. You don't even want to share that type of stuff with people. So family members and friends and significant other things that they're not aware, Sheila, of these things you went through. You get what I'm saying? Like you say, it's aching to you going to the one, seeing people killed and maimed and different things of that nature there. But the fact is, it's incarcerated syndrome because you're incarcerated. You get what I'm saying? And now you come out, like I say, and they think now because you're free that you're just okay. And people also, Sheila, it's incumbent upon us as well to be open to that dialogue of having therapy and things of that nature there. Because the stereotypes and things of that nature there, and you've been living this way for so long, like I say, you don't feel comfortable in talking to people. So all that does is just, like I say, further exacerbate the situation. You're walking around with all these different things on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, you're able to function, you know what I'm saying, Sheila, with the things you got to do, but it's in those moments. When you get home, because guess what? Now you're back in that prison cell mentality because you're back in that area. You're back in your zone of where you at. You get what I'm saying? So isolation is nothing. You walking past somebody, getting up, not saying good morning, things of that nature there, whatever the case may be. You're not cognizant of it, Sheila. It's not with intent. You get what I'm saying? It's just how you've been living, but it comes across as punishing your loved one and things that nature there because how you making them feel, Sheila.
Yeah.
But it's not done intentionally. It's not.
Yeah. Look, I used to say, don't take it personal. Before I gained the knowledge and the understanding, I was taking it so personal. Like, how dare he come in here and just go sit in that office and don't talk to me. But it all comes with understanding, man. It all comes with really understanding. And if you stop and just really think about it, a person has been confined to whether it's a dorm or a cage or a box for years, and they're not going to be affected by that. And we as women, let me tell you something, love alone ain't going to fix it. No. It's not. And we take it personal. So to the audience, those who are listening, if you have any questions for Jaron, just post them in the chat, and then I'll put them on the screen so that
Any questions for either one of us, Sheila? If they got questions for you as well.
yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, I absolutely love sitting here talking to you, because again, you remind me so much of Kevin. You're not trying to sugarcoat nothing. You're not trying to hide anything. You're educating us, the family members, on the raw truth of what prison does to a person, right?
Sheila, I suppressed it for so long.
Yeah.
I walked around with it for so long. As I told you, that's why I feel I owe you I'm talking about a deal of gratitude. I feel indebted to you for, like I say, coming across that and how you've championed this cause and how you've, like I say, got it down to a science on what it is we're going through, Sheila. Since coming across your videos, I felt more comfortable in opening up about these things. But guess what? I see now, okay, this is what it is. You get what I'm saying? And you opened up those doors and that platform, which you haven't been through it. And now, like I say, that's why your message is always going to land on where it needs to be. That's why I was telling you that. Because individuals that's done time, Sheila, as soon as you say it, the light going to go on. Because the things that you're saying, the hypervigilance, the different things of that nature there, you know, the isolation, you know, easily triggered, you know what I'm saying? All those things apply. Yeah. When you, because it's so many shit. I mean, listen, right? I don't even like to see a noodle in nowhere I stay, because I was around noodles for all that time. A pack of ramen noodles, I don't even want to see them. That triggers me. Wow. I mean, it can be the simplest thing. I'm serious. That triggers you with prison, you know?
So I'm going to show this here. So he says, how do you get prison out of you? How do prison? You want to go with that, or you want me to go with that?
Well, we can both answer. You know, the thing with getting it out of you is, like Sheila has been touching on, get you some help. You know, faith, get you some help. You got to have a strong support system. Those are the things that factor into getting it up out of you. It's not going to be no overnight process. Like I say, I still go through it. And I may still continue to go along as long as I'm here on this earth. It may just get better. You get what I'm saying? But I still have my days. I still have my moments. It's not out of me. And I don't know if it ever gets completely out of you. You know, because like I say, it's still things that easily take me back to when I was doing time. It's still things that easily trigger me. But like I say, and you may not find the right counselor the first time. You know, don't get discouraged by that, because, you know, I went into it, you know, I never forget, it was an event I went to, and I've always had, you know, this stereotype about, you know, therapists and all this different stuff. So he and this guy, Sheila, you know, he comes, and then all he's talking about is all his titles. And so it went to what I always thought, okay, these guys think they know it all. You get all he keeps talking about all his time. That's not going to land with individuals like us. Right. We're going to tune you out immediately. Right. I'm serious. You've lost us. I'm telling you, within the first 60 seconds, talking about NBA, PPA, all the alphabet, man, that don't land with us, man. Because guess what, man? We go off lived experience, man, on what we've been on. Like I said, the things that you talked about, the things we can identify with, that's what we go with, Sheila. If you come in there talking about all your titles, man, you're going to lose people, man, that's been in prison. They don't want to hear that, man, because it's already a stereotype out there in the narrative about therapists. And you coming there with that, guess what? You coming off as, okay, I know it all because I got all these titles. No, it don't work like that. So it's a process, Juan, and you have to continue. And you know yourself by going through it, you know. And I know you still go through different things. You know, you've done a lot of bits and things of that nature there, man. But it's still things we go through on a day-to-day basis, man. You know what I'm saying? But you have to continue. I got a saying, man, as long as we're on this earth, we're always under construction, Sheila. Yeah. Always. None of us are perfect beings. We all have our, you know what I'm saying, fallibilities. You did what I'm saying, our shortcomings. And you're under construction. You're just trying to get better with each day that you're presented. And getting and dealing with PICS, it's a process, man, a long process, man. It's a long road to recovery, man, but you have to be willing to embrace that.
Yeah. It's no quick fix. There is no quick fix, you know. And one thing about it, you have to be willing to put in the work, right? So you did 16 years, you did 20 years, and you come out and you think 30, 60, 90 days, you're going to be okay. No, this is one of the things that I share with individuals. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is grab your notebook and a pencil and a paper. These are tools. I don't know what people think tools are, but this is a tool. So anything that triggers you, write that down. Okay. So I know know what triggers me. So now you know the things in the different areas that you need to work on. You're going to have to be willing to do some things you never done. Be open and talk about it like Jaron. You're going to have to be willing to say some things you never say. Hey, I'm struggling with this. I don't know what I'm going through. You're going to have to be willing to go some places you never go. Perhaps that's to see a mental health professional. And I just want to touch on this, and then we have another question. Let me tell you something about seeing mental health professionals. So Jaron hit it right? Because the first therapist that Kevin seen, he came back in the first time. He said, nah, she ain't gonna be able to help me. She's too intrigued about the number of years that I did, right? He said, I'm gonna give her one more shot. He went back the second week. He came, he said, nah. He said, I got to find me another one. And then when he said that, I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't have another 6 months to go through this. How long is it going to take him? But he found someone who is heavy trauma. You don't want to talk to somebody that's family counseling and you've been dealing with trauma. You have to find someone who's seasoned in trauma. You find somebody who's seasoned in trauma, they will be able to help you. So, Juan, to answer your question, you're going to have to connect with somebody. You cannot successfully reintegrate by yourself. If that's in my inbox, hey, Miss Sheila, I'm going through this, that, and other. I have sent plan of actions to countless number of people, but you're going to have to be willing to, open up. And my thing is this: when they send me some I give them a plan of action. You don't follow through, I'm done, because we're not going to waste time here.
And let me say this, Sheila. Let me say this, in all honesty. If I hadn't came across you, there's no telling I would be here right now, because I haven't been this willing to be open and discuss this.
Wow.
And that's the truth. I've been against seeking out therapy and things, and that's the truth.
Wow. Yeah, and it's not easy. It's really not easy to just sit and talk to somebody and tell them. But when Kevin found this other, like, y'all, hold on. This light, it's going to put me in the dark, but it's better than that light. So when Kevin finally found this therapy, heavy in trauma, when he would come home, I know she cracked him open. Because he would be emotional. I could tell he had been crying, right? But if you can't find, or you're not open to see a therapist right now, maybe it's not, financially wise, and you don't have the money to see a therapist. You got to find somebody. You got to connect with somebody that can help you go through this and talk to that.
But the main thing, they got to be willing, Sheila. If they're not ready and they're forcing it upon them, it's not going to happen if they're forcing it upon them. The individual has to be ready and open to this. If it's being forced upon them, it's going to be disingenuous. It's going to be a house of cards. It's going to be a house of cards, Sheila. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And like she said, let me see. Yeah, you have to be willing, because let me tell you something. Denial is dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? One lady told me, she said, I sent my husband your book. He'd been in 30 years and he got mad. She said, why do you think he got mad? Because he's in denial. Yeah, he's in denial. But then she hit me back and she said, he is getting ready to come home within weeks and he's all over the place. I said, well, perhaps now he'll pick up the book and read it. She said, I think that he has. But I'm going to tell you something. Being in denial is dangerous, right? Because it's going to come out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to come out.
Absolutely.
So it's going to come out in your relationships. It's going to come out on your job. It's going to come out in your family. It's going to come out. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Let me see. I had another question here. Somebody asked a question. Okay. I'm going to find that question. Okay. I'm going to count. Okay. Here's another one. Let's see what she's saying. How do you bring up the possibility that your loved one is experiencing PICS to them in a way that will not offend or turn them away or make them shut down? Let me say this first, and you go ahead then, Jaron. Because this is a very common question that I get, to the point that I created an ebook, How to Talk to Your Loved One About Post-Incarceration Syndrome, right? And I even have a template in there. If you can't talk to them, write them a letter. I used to have to write Kevin, right? I used to have to write Kevin in the subject line to let him know I'm coming in peace. I say, hear my heart. Hear my heart. So I highly recommend that you go onto my website. My website is loaded. It's a resource. I poured everything into that website. So if you haven't checked out my website, wifeafterprison.org, I highly recommend that. And I highly recommend, Crystal, that you check out that ebook, How Do You Talk to Your Loved One About Post-Incarceration Syndrome? Because let me tell you something, you got to ease into this thing. You got to ease into the conversation. You might have to give them a little on Monday and come back and give them a little on Wednesday. But if you overload them all at once that day, it's too much. It's going to be too much. And to one, I'm going to say this, when I'm contacted by individuals and I say, what's that one thing? What's that one thing? If you can wake up in the morning and that will be gone, what's that one thing? Because if I give you 5 things, you're going to be overwhelmed. What's that one thing that if you can wake up in the morning and then they tell me what that one thing is and I send them a plan of action. Okay.
And I would say this, why the letter registered also, Sheila, was because guess what? We're accustomed to reading letters in prison. So you write him a letter that, that registered. He was able to sit down and identify with that. But to say to Crystal, and this not no plug anything of Sheila, but if you can show some of her videos to them and let them look them over and see and hear her talk, those things going to land with them, Crystal, I assure you. Because like I say, if not for Sheila coming across her videos, I can't say that I would be where I am today because I hadn't been open. I hadn't been at that point where I was ready to embrace that. But as soon as I came across her, it opened up things for me. The light went on because how it landed with me. I felt at ease. It was therapeutic for me to, when I hear her videos and then when I was able finally to see her and talk with her, that was therapeutic for me to open up and offload these things that I've been walking around with. So I would suggest you, Crystal, go to her page and share some of those videos with your loved ones. And I assure you that it's going to land with them. The things that she's talking about is going to register.
Yeah. On TikTok, I have over 100 videos. Mm-hmm. It is like an educational hub where you can go and you can learn and you can get your questions answered. And I'm telling you something, when I first got on TikTok, man, I was like, initially, I don't want to get on TikTok, right? Mm-hmm. But when I got on TikTok, I heard the pain, right? And then individuals, because you will be surprised, Crystal, he may just be waiting on somebody to put a language to his page. You would be surprised, at the number of individuals that start coming forth to saying, man, now somebody understands, right? They started sending my videos to their loved ones. They said, one guy said, I sent it to my wife so she can understand me, right? Because a lot of times they can't articulate it.
No, they can't.
They can't articulate what they're going through. In one of my videos, I was talking about how, decision making, because for years, you pretty much told what time to get up, what time you're going to eat, what time you're going to hit outside, what time you're going to even visit with your
shower, phone, everything.
Yeah. So those decisions were made for you. So when you come home, it's like you struggle with making decisions. So I did a video on that. And that lady said, man, it was meant for me to see your video today. She said, because I have been beating my husband up about making decisions.
Wow.
I'm just saying, y'all, this thing is real. Yeah. Nobody is just out here pretending, right? They're not just pretending not to be okay.
Mm-hmm. So and the thing is, they don't even know that they're not okay. Like I say, this is their normal. I mean, this was my normal. I didn't think nothing was wrong with me. You get what I'm saying? I was okay with functioning in that silo I was functioning in that shell I was functioning. I was okay with that, Sheila.
Yeah.
You don't think nothing wrong with you. You don't view it that way.
So Madison, Sheila, I did not hear you still with your husband. If so, how did you both cope? So Kevin and I are no longer lovers, but Kevin and I are the best of friends, right? I can still call him today. He can still call me today. We talk to each other a couple of times a month. But again, it was when I gained an understanding of trauma that it was not my call to say, man, that was pre-incarceration. Oh man, that happened when you incarceration. You need to be over that by now. We can't gauge that. We can't call that. We can't call that, because I'm telling you something, a level of trauma that they have experienced either during pre-incarceration and surely incarceration, we can't even imagine, right? And trauma is stored in your nervous system, right? So Cardell Sims, right? Cardell Sims, he did 4 bids. So he's the one that invited me to the workshop today. So at the end of the workshop, I started talking about mental health, right? Because look, let's be real. A lot of them went in as teenagers. Nobody was talking to them about mental health then, right? So their concept of mental health is it means that I'm crazy, when it doesn't, right? But this is what Cardell Sims said. He put his face to that camera and he said, guys, look at me. So Cardell is now bald-headed. He has no eyebrows, right? He said that because of the level of stress that's stored in his body, he lost all of his hair and he lost his eyebrows. And he said, I'm now in therapy twice a week. So this is the thing, man. I'm going to tell you, it's not only psychological, it's neurologically, right? It's trauma is stored in your nervous system. Mm-hmm. Trauma is stored in your brain.
It is.
Yeah. And so one guy asked me on the end, he said, yeah, I got that. I get that. He said, but is it any way around it? Can you come out of it? Absolutely. Just like there's post-incarceration syndrome, there's post-incarceration growth, but you got to do the work. And if it don't happen for you in 30, 60, 90 days, man, you got to keep doing the work. You have to keep doing the work. Oh, I'm sorry about that, y'all.
Okay.
So, Jaron, you want to go ahead and...
But here's the thing also, too, Shelia, you're doing them a disservice if you put a timeline on when you think that they should be back to normal, as you call it, back to themselves, as you call it. You can't place that upon a person. It's unfair, and you're doing them a disservice. This is not no overnight fix. You're talking about, years and years of undone trauma, like Shelia talked about. It's pre-incarceration, the trauma that people went through with living in their environments, how they came up and what they went through. Then on top of it, now you're going to prison. That's trauma upon trauma. And now you're telling me to now just be okay within a 6-month timeline, whatever the case may be. It's not that simple. Like I say, it's not. I've been home. It'll be 3 years in October. And like I say, until I came across Shelia with her video, I wasn't open to even discussing this at all. But coming across her video, it made me so comfortable because of, like I say, the things that she said landed. And I say, so this is what it is. As I would hear people talk about PTSD and all that stuff there. And man, when she said that post-incarceration syndrome, man, the sentence after the sentence, man, I'm talking about, man, real talk, it hit home, man. You know what I'm saying? And so these things that she say, they're real. She's lived them, with someone that was formerly incarcerated. And this is what she do now. This is what her whole life revolves around.
Yeah.
Championing this cause, bringing light to this cause. So she knows about it. You get what I'm saying? So if you're a person that's a family member or loved one or a significant other, just care about them, you have to give them some grace. You got to give them some grace. They're going to need some grace. You get what I'm saying? I'm not, you can't view it as they try and take advantage of things that nature there. And like I say, I get it. It's hard for a person to understand if you haven't been through it. If you haven't lived, it's hard for a person to understand. You heard what Shelia say. Until she understood what it was, she wasn't into giving no grace. Until she understood. So we get where you are with not understanding it. But understand and learn if you really care about this person, because it's gonna take some time, it's gonna take some grace. But first and foremost, the individual itself has to be willing to do it. And here's the thing with that. You can't just say the person's gonna be willing to do it because of their family and things. They have to be willing to do it for them, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Because like I say, it becomes disingenuous when they're doing it for someone else or doing it to satisfy probation or whatever the case may be. Like I said, it's going to be a house of cards. It's just going to crumble. They have to
Yeah.
be ready to do it for them first and foremost.
Yeah.
And
You
that's
have
when
to.
you're going to see the real growth.
Right. And that's what it was for Kevin. I could push all day, you need to go get you some help. You need to go get you some help, but who's comfortable with that? I had never seen a therapist until me and Kevin got married. Never. Who's comfortable with that? So Juan again says sometimes mental health therapy ain't enough. We need trauma-informed therapy. Prison was a traumatic experience. Exactly. And here recently, me, I made a 95. I got my certification as a trauma. Yeah, and thank you so much, as a certified trauma support specialist. Why? Because I need to understand. I need to understand trauma. Man, let me tell you something. This is not surface level stuff. It's not surface level stuff. And that's why I'm saying someone that your loved one, if they decide to see someone, look, trauma informed, trauma therapist, not a family therapist. No. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna back up off of here. So, some, women say, well, we need to see marriage counselor. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not at first. Initially, you don't. He needs to go deal with that. Because let me tell you something. You get him in a room with a therapist, a stranger, I guarantee you, he's not going to talk. He's not going to say everything in front of you. So you don't have a marriage problem right off the bat. He needs to deal with that. And then there may be some things you need to deal with. It took me going through this to go see a therapist to find out I had some issues. Hello, somebody, right? Because sometimes we think just because our loved ones have been to prison, they the one who got all the problem. No, sir. No, ma'am. Right? So yeah, it's a family thing. The whole family needs to heal.
And see, the thing is also when people come home, Sheila, it's expectation when people come home. You never know what situation they're coming home to. They may be coming home to, like you said, the guy lost his parents and things of that nature. And guess what? He got to step up and fend for the family, things of that nature there. So it's all these things, like I say, that exacerbates it that much more when you come home, especially when you got these expectations of the things you got to do and you haven't been able to deal with self, Sheila. You get what I'm saying? It's a powder keg situation then. You get what I'm saying? You don't know what a person may be stepping into immediately coming home from prison. One thing I will say with the Bureau of Prison, with federal, they do send you to a halfway house first in most cases, unless like you get an immediate release or something of that nature there, or you just done all your time in prison where you just get released from prison. But most of the time you do go to a halfway house where you do slowly integrate back into society and different things of that nature there. And that somewhat helps as opposed to just being thrown completely into the fray. Like I see most state prisons doing things of that nature there. That's the biggest disservice it is. You just putting people out there and telling, hey man, go figure it out.
Yeah.
What you think? Why you think recidivism so high? Because guess what? They still in survival mode because you tell them to go out there and figure it out. And guess what they know best on figuring it out, Sheila? They're going to resort back to what they know best in figuring it out because they're in survival mode.
Yeah. And that was my thing is I was like, I wish that everybody who is has been released, they go to a place where they can decompress. They can decompress. And this is the thing. This is why it's so important that they get the information now while they are inside. Because when you come out, what you thinking about? I got to get a job. I got to survive on the outside. I got to do this, that, and other. So this is why I push so much that we get this information to them on the inside. Every presentation, every workshop that I do, I don't go in there to talk. You're going to leave out there with you some handouts. You're going to leave with some homework. Right? I'm not just going to come in here and talk to you. I'm going to give you some things to do. I'm going to hold that mirror in front of you so that you can see yourself, see some of the things that you can maybe identify with, resonate. This is one of the saddest things that I've heard. And it goes back to Jaron, what he's talking about, on the state side, you're just released out there. Okay, go figure it out. You done did 10 years, you did 5 years, and here in Texas, you're going to get $100. You do 2 years, you got 100. You do 20 years, you got 100. You got $100. What do you do with $100 out here today? But this one gentleman, he said, Miss Sheila, he said, this dude here, they were at the transitional home. He said every day he just get up and he'd take a shower and he put his clothes on, he go sit on that side of that bed. And he said, day one, he did that. Day two, he did that. He said, by the third day, I put my head in the door. Say, man, why you just sitting outside this bed every day? Why you don't come out this room? Whew. He gets me every time. Yeah. He said, I didn't know I could. Yeah. He said, I didn't know I could.
Waiting on somebody.
Yeah. He was so used to routine. He was so used to people telling him.
Become regimented, Sheila. You become regimented. You know, you become embedded in that everyday routine. You know, you do.
Yeah. And I want to speak to this. My humble advice is be real with communicating with people who have gone through it and those who are still going through it. And that's one of the reasons why I got my certification, right? Because you're going to have a level of compassion. You're going to have a level of compassion when you're talking with our citizens who are coming home. And my thing is this, I don't do labels no more. I don't see inmates. I hear people saying, my inmate, this, that, and that. Oh, really? We're all citizens. They are just citizens on their reentry journey. So we have to learn language means everything, everything. And I totally agree with this comment here. Okay, so let's see here. Oh man, got so many comments over here. And so what we're going to do is, and so Jaron is cool about this, man. You know, he's cool about going back and commenting on things. So if we don't answer your questions, I'm sure when time permits, he'll go and he'll answer some of these questions. So I'm just trying to find a lot of these are comments. Let's see. So when I was incarcerated 1 year in, I started a program for others to do. That's what made me feel like I was still outside. Okay, my body was trapped, but my mind was not. So, Michael, what you said, you found your purpose when you were inside? Because it's a possibility.
And, you know, it's not a one-size-fits-all model. It may have worked for him, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it may have worked for him. And kudos to Michael that, you know, he found something that did work for him, you know?
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's easy to become entrapped in there. You know, I think, and he said he was incarcerated 1 year in. Okay, I don't know how long he done. But yeah, you know, it's easy, you know, to even survive that. You have intestinal fortitude and strong mind, because like I say, it's so many things that you have to overcome in there. I'm telling you, dealing with loss of life from your loved ones, you know, all those different things, Sheila, that's taking place. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're not being able to be in your kids' lives. You're seeing them make mistakes that's costing them their lives and livelihood, things of that nature there. It's a myriad of things that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis when you're doing that time, you know?
Yeah. So
when you talked about the guy with the stress where his hair and stuff won't grow, it begins, like you say, to impact you take the physical toll.
Side.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Those things back then, because there's so many dynamics at play would happen to overcome and endure this, Sheila. You know, I just had a birthday, you know, last week. And well, it might have been 2 weeks ago on the 3rd. And you know, people like, you know, you don't even care about your birthday. You know, you become numb to that stuff because you miss so many holidays and birthdays. It don't even mean nothing to you no more. It's just another day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of times you may even be on lockdown. There's stuff going on, so it don't be nothing to you. You get what I'm saying? You become numb to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Kevin didn't, you know, acknowledge, you know, I would be excited. It's your birthday. We going to Jamaica. We going somewhere, you know. But like you say, it becomes the norm to you, right? And prison is not a one size fit all. You know, the experiences are different. The stories are different. The institution, like the institution that I did the workshop today, I hear that they don't have no programs. No programs is what I've heard, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, what do you do with all this time? You're doing absolutely nothing.
But like, you know, what we touched on with it, you know, being different for everyone. I mean, I've seen instances where it became too much for them. I've seen that on occasions, you know. I mean, everyone don't make it back to go in, Sheila.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone don't make it back to go in.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so people just think that you can go in there, you can block this out, and don't let it entrap your mind. I've seen people who has entrapped their mind, Sheila, and it got the best of them. I've seen that on multiple occasions. You know, so it's not simple at all whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I heard another gentleman tell me about an incident that the guy was getting ready to go home and he was unalived. Right? So these are some real stories, real conversations, that most people are unaware of.
Yeah.
We just think, they're going to do that time and they're going to come out and they're going to be fine.
Just be happy to be out. It don't work like that, Sheila. It don't work like that.
Right.
Because like you said, you start another sentence now when you come home.
Second sentence. There's the second sentence.
You start
There's
another sentence.
There is a second sentence.
It's not just simple as you just coming home and then you got the magic elixir, add water and stir and voila. No, it don't work like that, Sheila. It's gonna be obstacles, it's gonna be hurdles, it's gonna be challenges. Like I said, it's still, even though I've been sitting up here talking to you for going on an hour now, Sheila. Like I said, I still have my moments day to day.
Yeah.
I'm not free from that. And I don't want anybody to think that just watching this on this platform that I'm just okay and I'm fixing, I'm healed. No, I still go through things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I have in that group that I had, the 1,500 women, it was so many, not my man. Not my man. My man read 1,000 books. One lady said 1,000 books. I said, okay. I said, so he's intellectually sharp, right? But what about the psychological and the emotional and the behavior? You don't know anything about that yet. And another thing
there's so many things they suppressing, Sheila.
That's it.
You need to show them. Did you see them? Did they see you when you had that bag on?
Probably did. Some of them may have.
Just all that stuff you had, that's baggage, man. So they could say, all this and that there. What's projected on the outside ain't what's going on the inside. I'm just to tell you that.
Thank you. I had one guy say, Miss Sheila, he did over 30 years. Miss Sheila, I thought you told me this was gonna be something. Man, it's easy. This ain't about nothing. I said, okay. I said, right now you're on that freedom high. But come holler at me down the road, right? 6 months in, I get that call, Miss Sheila. You got a minute? Yeah, because you come out on that freedom high, right? But you haven't even processed anything. You haven't processed all of the trauma that you saw on the inside. One gentleman did 40 years. My first thing was, hey, you want to go talk to somebody? Right? I ain't forcing it on him, but I am going to bring up the conversation. You want to go talk to somebody? Oh, I'm good. I said, okay. Late night, I get this call, Miss Sheila. I need to talk to somebody. I said, you want to share what's going on? He said, when I was inside, I saw somebody get they cut off. He said, and I'm having nightmares now. I said, okay, enough said. We're going to get you somebody to talk to, right? So family members, hear me when I say this. You have no idea of the magnitude of trauma that your loved ones have endured, right? And we want to talk. Women, he won't talk to me. I want to talk. He's processing things, darling. Because, Jaron, I want you to hit on this. Because this is what I see. When you're in prison, and especially if you're in a prison where there's a lot of violence, you're not really processing nothing. What are you doing? You're from day to day, you're just trying to stay alive. Your head on the swivel. You're watching your back. So when you come home, right? When you come home, now you start processing all of that stuff.
All of that stuff. I don't even want to discuss. Like I say, some of the things that I've seen been so abhorrent. I don't want to place that upon nobody, Sheila. Them things I've seen, I don't want to place that upon nobody. Give them the imagery of the things I've saw and been through on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes you don't want to place that upon nobody. You get what I'm saying? So when you're saying they don't talk about it, they just go on with their day because they don't want to place that upon you. That's going to be trauma for you, man. I share some of the things, man. Many of the things I've went through and saw in there.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what, and it's hard for a person to identify, and I get it. They can't grasp it because they haven't been through it. And thank God they haven't. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard for people to grasp that, Sheila, when those things have taken place and then you're not sharing it with them. And like I say, a lot of times they're unaware of it, Sheila. And like you say, they don't know how to articulate what's really going on inside of them.
Yeah. They don't
They
know how
just
to.
navigating through the day. They just navigating through the day.
Yeah. Yeah, they have no idea. And good. And I'm gonna just ask you guys, just continue to pray for wife after prison, because my thing is I need to get in more of these prisons and have this conversation before they come out the back gate.
Absolutely.
That is my goal. I'm working on something now, just knocking on doors, even to the point where I'm offering to go and do this for free. Just let me in. Just let me in and have the conversation so that these individuals can start working and or start noticing some things right now, right? Like the gentleman today, one gentleman today, and I shared this with Jaron before we went live. He said, I lost my mom when I was in here, and I lost my sister. And he said, and I'm getting ready to go home in September. And he said, I don't know what to do with this. He said, I had to suppress it while I was inside. He said, but I know when I get out, just not knowing that I wasn't there. I wasn't even there for my mom's homegoing. And so then he's going to have to deal with this, and he's going to have to process that. And the thing I want to say to you guys, we just have to be kinder. We have to be kinder. We have to be kind to our citizens that have come home. I know sometimes it's hard, but we have to consider the trauma. And I want to highly recommend, guys, if, one of the things I always, how can I support my loved one? I say, have you read my book? No, ma'am. Okay. Okay. And I tell you, read the book. There's no quick fix to this. And if you truly want to help, you're going to have to become educated.
Ain't no doubt. Ain't no doubt. And I say this again to the audience, man. This not no shameless plug or Sheila, none of that there, man. My people who's on here who know me personally, man, they know how I am. You know what I'm saying? They know about me being open at there, all these different things here. Until I came across this woman here, I haven't been open to none of this. And it's real talk. I'm not just saying this. This ain't just no saber rattling talking. My people who know me personally know this real talk. Until I came across this woman here, man, I haven't been open to any of this, man. I stand by what she's doing and what she's saying because it's true, man. It registers, it resonates because these are the things that your loved ones are experiencing that they can't explain to y'all on what's going on.
Yeah. They can't articulate it.
Get her books. Go look at her videos. Share them with your family. This is real. It's going to help them. I promise you it's going to help them. Share them videos with your family. I assure you it's going to help them. It is.
Yeah. Well, man, this hour went by so fast, just so fast. Jaron, this is what I was thinking about earlier, because I'm always thinking about, okay, what's next? And so I was saying, okay, in a couple of weeks, I was going to do a live with Kevin. But I think what I really want to do is, I know you're one of them. Kevin is one of them. There's a gentleman, Mataka. He's one of them. And I call you guys some of the heavy hitters. You are the experts on post-incarceration syndrome. Because my thing is this: when I want to know something, who do I go to? I go to those experts. And so I think I want to have a live and have panelists, and we're just going to have Q&A. And let the family members or those who are out here struggling and don't understand, let them just ask you guys some questions, and then you guys can provide them. And I know you're going to give them honest feedback. I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much. You like my brother now. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you for the platform, Sheila. Because
yeah.
Being that, you've been a godsend coming across you. And like I say, just, it's therapeutic to be able to talk to you and, bounce things off of you and things of that nature there, because you can truly identify what it is. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? What like you say, let's talk about it. It's real talk because you open it and you invite it because you know what it is,
Yeah.
and that's needed,
Yeah.
and continue to champion this cause. And, I continue to support you because it's needed, Sheila. It's needed.
Well,
Tremendous.
I appreciate it because I'm telling you, I started hollering like 2016, early 2017, and I felt like I was on an island all by myself because people was just looking and one lady said, "Oh, that's just PTSD." It's easier to call it PTSD when you lack understanding of it, but it's not PTSD. But I stood 10 toes down
Ain't no
on
doubt.
this. And I kept talking,
Ain't
and I
gonna
kept
twist
talking. I kept talking, and then doors start opening, and people start listening, and citizens start coming forth saying, "Sis, keep doing what you're doing." So, Jaron, I appreciate you. I have mad love for you. I'm going to be in touch with you. To the audience, again, post your questions. We'll go back and read them. Share this information out because I'm going to tell you something.
Please
Yeah,
share.
this ain't about gatekeeping right here. This is not about gatekeeping. Go on to TikTok. Look at some of those videos.
This can be the difference in saving somebody's lives. Believe me. This can be the difference. And she's putting it out there. Take advantage. I'm telling you, go take a listen. This can be the difference in sharing this with your loved one. This can be the difference in them living or dying. Believe me, this is real talk. People going through it. It's real. That trauma is real.
Yeah. And lastly, I'm going to say that when you said that, this can be the difference in saving someone's life. When I first started talking about PICS and I went in those 26 groups on Facebook and I just posed that one question, have you heard of post-incarceration syndrome? Over 26,000 people. I did not get one yes. But when I started talking about it, one of the things I heard was a lady said, if had I known this, maybe my husband would still be alive because 3 days after he got out, he unalived himself. So again, Jaron is absolutely right. Don't gatekeep this.
No.
This is not the gatekeeping kind of conversation. No. This is the conversation that you want to have. Thank you so much.
If you truly care, this is truly your mission, like what Sheila doing. Get it out there, man. Share it, man. You know what I'm saying? Share it.
Yep. And my thing is this also, and the reason why I say educate yourself, because if you go to them half cop, you don't know what you're talking about. That's why I said go onto my website. That's a resource. I'm now putting together an online course because when you start having these conversations, I want you to know what you're talking about. Don't go in here saying, well, this lady said this, that, and other. I want you to be so convinced that this is real. Go and read. Read.
Or share her videos with your loved one. They will be able to identify. When you share a video, they going to be able to identify. Just share a video with them. I assure you, it's going to register with them immediately.
Yeah. Well, we come to an end. Jaron, mad love for you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your willingness to be vulnerable. Right? To be vulnerable enough to come on.
Because like I said, this can be the difference in life and death. This is needed.
Well, we're going to keep talking about it. So let's talk about it. All right. So good night to you guys. Love you much. We're going to keep talking about this until we get 100% inside of these prisons where we can educate the loved ones. Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
All right. Thank you so much. Good night.